And immediately to you confident in the meeting. And they're like, Med, how should we design this character? And you don't respond, you say nonsense. You say, I know exactly how to do it. Smash cut to you back home. You eating the buffalo wings. Eating too many buffalo wings.
It's too true.
Too many buffalo wings, right? It's all over your face. It's gotten up here somehow. And you're eating two at once. And it's dripping and it's making shapes on the paper, and you wipe stuff, you try to wipe it off, but you just get more on your face because it's all over your hands, and you get your pencil and you start drawing around the sauce splatter, and then it transitions into a beautiful drawing that is not the shape of the sauce splatter at all, and then up comes character design 1 with Hamid Al-Duri. How inspirational, dude!
That's pretty good. It's on point.
You have to be relatable.
So that's how you think I should intro my...
as far as I'm concerned, that's the only way.
My character design class I'll be doing for my online class. Okay. More on that later.
Oh, are we recording already?
Yeah, we got that whole thing. That was perfect.
I see. Okay.
I couldn't
good.
let that happen and not hit record.
Thank you for that. That's good. That's real good.
No, I figure, okay, so what is it? What is character design? And I give off my several definitions. And whatever. So we're not going to get into this. This is kind
Sure, no, you wouldn't want to give away the secret.
Starting point.
You wouldn't want to give away the delicious secrets.
8-week class. CGMA. We'll talk more about that later.
8 weeks. It's a crash course, baby.
It is a crash course. It covers a lot of stuff. But I haven't put a video up this week. I haven't done a Medcast in a while. I've been really busy. How have you been?
Good. Also been busy. Getting ready to move. And now we're here for another big Medcast.
There we go.
Reunited at last. Together.
In
spirit and physically.
All right.
What?
I'm
We're in
just
close
saying.
proximity.
Yeah, you said that last time.
Yeah, I think the other one opened like this as well.
People talk. We're like, oh, intimate bubble. LOL.
Well, the bubble's tighter now.
No,
last time
get
we were
away.
2 feet apart. Now we're like 6 inches apart.
Jeez, get out of here.
And we're in your house now instead of my house.
Yeah.
We're in your space.
Yeah.
Your safe space.
This is my safe space.
Yeah, it is.
Ugh.
We always go to the same thing.
So I got my green tea. You got your... Yeah, if you're listening to this, grab a sketchbook, grab some tea, kick back, and
relax and listen.
Yeah.
See, that's good. We should just... people who want to listen to the Medcast, they want to hear it for a long time, right?
That's what they say. I'm like, you don't want to hear this for more than a minute.
See, that's weird because I listen to podcasts that are hours long. When you're working, you go through so much media. You just eat media up.
I suppose. There's some credibility to this channel being, we just went a little bit past 80,000, which is like crazy.
Good for you. Man.
Which is, I want to ask them to stop. Like, let's keep it at that. I don't want to get.
You don't want it to go any higher.
No, I think we're good at this. It's like I can't handle more than that.
For real, you keep the whole packet on the tea bag?
Well, because it anchors it down on the side. Well, you never had it fall into the tea? Mm-hmm. You rip off the packet?
Yeah, I rip off the little... Look, it's perforated.
That's extra work.
I guess it is. Yeah, you're really probably putting that energy to good use that you're saving with that one.
I need ice cubes. This tea is too hot. I need to...
It's not hot. It's perfect.
Well...
You have to cauterize your mouth. You got to get some good calluses going in there.
Some people will drink it boiling hot, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh, I knew people who did that.
Yeah.
Oh, back when I lived with Lindsay.
Oh, did you do that?
Boiling hot. Straight out of the pot. And she would just drink it like that.
Speaking of which, I remember that one time I brought a bunch of tea to your place.
Are you bringing this up now?
Yeah. I don't know. Just the next day, all the boxes were gone. Like, why would you take it? God damn.
Wow, we're really airing stuff out on this one.
Nobody listens to this anyway. Who cares? Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna be talking about some drawing stuff. It's been a while. Things have been up and down for me. Lots of when it rains, it pours. Why are you getting closer?
The microphone.
Okay. No, but the microphone's that way.
And now I'm here.
Jeez. Anyway, okay, so teaching's been such a rewarding experience. Go in there, and we're about 10 weeks in, and I'm starting to get a good grasp on how to teach. You've taught before, right? Something, yeah. when you really could you just back off maybe a couple inches is awkwardly close.
You're encouraging me with how uncomfortable it makes you.
I'm so
You gotta play more cool.
Oh yeah, get closer, bro. No big deal.
See, that's better.
You're not getting any further.
So sensitive.
Oh boy. Anyway, teaching is fun. Like a couple first few weeks, it's like here's the concepts, and everyone's like, what? And then week 10, they're starting to get it, and then you start letting them loose. It's like, okay, show me the cool stuff. So next week, I wonder if they can hear the truck outside. So next week, it's like I'm letting them loose and just want to see what they do, and it's exciting to see what they'll do.
What week is next week?
11.
So it's not their final, right?
No, is it week 11? Yes, I could be wrong. No, it's not their final yet. Their final they'll have another week, and I haven't announced what that assignment is.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be interesting. Anyway, so the topic, by the way, is critical thinking. I remember the last podcast you brought it up, and we're like, yeah, we're going to get on that in a moment, and we never got back to it.
Sounds like us.
Sounds exactly like us. And since you're leaving this, since you're leaving to other places, we have to get as much podcast airtime as possible.
Yeah. Let's record 18 today.
18, there's not enough
and you can just have
time
them backed up.
People have been demanding, we need more Steven. We want to see the Lord of Knives, who is not a shark.
He's not.
But it looks like one.
Why even bring it up? I don't understand why people... I hate that. Like, if you agree he's not a shark, just say the Lord of Knives. Whatever.
Well, he's a hammerhead something.
Why are you saying that? What is that? He doesn't look anything like a shark.
Darkly Born is a wonderful thing. People want to see more of it.
Yeah, I should get back on that. I'll go back on Darkly Born once I feel more positive about life. Right now I'm doing darker stuff because that's what I identify with at the moment. So
hopefully, if I even edit this video, maybe I'll have that on the screen so that they see what your darker stuff looks like. Specifically, the one of you as a lioness mother, just like hovering over a lion. Oh,
that definitely shifted my algorithm quite a bit. That definitely the algorithm. It's confirmed. It's fucking confirmed.
Okay.
Is that the first F-bomb on your whole channel?
Yes, it is.
Rock on.
Let me take a sip. Yep.
I don't know why this feels like Christmas, because like the mugs and the tea and we're together, and like I'm holding it like this.
It should feel like Christmas weather-wise because it's getting closer to December, but California is very ambiguous with the weather. You can't really, but you walk by the people who are spending $1 million on a Starbucks drink, and they got the nice cups. They got the red cups with the. I love seeing that. I love the festivities and the beautiful Christmas lights everywhere. I think it's a good thing. God, I hope it's actually recording. Remember last time?
Oh, jeez.
It's good. Look at the things.
Put it on the side so we can always see that it's doing the little thing.
Yeah.
It is weird that we live in a place that the number one signifier to let you know that it's Christmas is that the Starbucks cups turned red. Yes. That's like the only way you could tell. I remember when we were in school, I didn't detect holidays at all because we didn't have time to celebrate them. Like, like we weren't getting ready for Christmas or anything like that. So term would start.
Because you were in art center doing homework.
Yeah, just going nuts. And then when I would like leave to go home for the holidays, I would, for the first time ever, go anywhere that wasn't my apartment or school or the road in between. I would step outside of that for the first time in 14 weeks, and all of a sudden everything was decorated and Christmased out, and it was just right up against the wall. Yep. Very sudden.
Yep. And that's it's happening now. But we're free to do what we want because we're not in school anymore, right?
Yeah, and I still don't decorate, so...
Right. Who does
really,
that?
Really taking advantage of that.
I barely unpacked my stuff from moving in. I still have to... Yeah. Anyway, so what have you been drawing lately?
Like I said, darker stuff.
Oh, yeah. I've been drawing mostly hands.
Yeah,
just
hands right now.
My left hand. Because there's no pressure about, like, storytelling or content or... Yeah. And I haven't been posting anything for a long time. People are probably going to be asking me about, like, on Instagram. I haven't posted anything, and it feels great. It feels like I'm not connected to this obligation, which is, by the way, why I haven't been posting on YouTube as regularly, or on Patreon. I'm allowing myself to breathe, and it feels amazing. And I've come to a point in my life where I'm gauging, is this something that I will truly feel like doing for me right now? And if the answer is no, then I'm not going to do it, because I want to be authentic, right? It's like, what is my true, honest desire? And like the test is like, when you lie, you feel this kind of cringe, right? When you're lying to somebody, your friend or whatever, and you can feel it. It's a very specific physiological thing right underneath your diaphragm. It's like this tension. It's a lie, right?
Yeah.
And so
I'm feeling that right now.
Okay. And so when I go to like, okay, I'm going to draw this thing for Instagram, then I feel that cringe because it's a lie, because it's not like what I want to do. So I'm like, okay, so the thing is, once you feel it, stop. So I felt that with the YouTube video. It's like, I want to make this video about this thing, but I'm like, but it's not, so I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not out of laziness, but it's rather a self-discovery process. So if you're, subscribed and I just ask that you're patient, and there's definitely going to be more stuff. And if that kind of thing upsets you, that why isn't there a video every Saturday, then unsubscribe. I don't want you around anyway.
Unfollow.
Yeah, just whatever.
It's the truest sentiment in life.
Yeah. So,
but it does sound like you're growing.
So back to the topic.
It does sound like you're growing.
Critical
and
thinking.
that you're lazy. So that's
I'm
good.
not. I'm doing
just
so much right
just
now.
Just messing with you, man.
So spread thin. Get out of here.
I'll walk out.
No, I mean, I got the classes that I'm teaching, the ridiculous freelance thing. Like I said, when it rains, it pours, and it's hard to escape from.
A lot going on.
Yeah. Anyway, but critical thinking. Go.
That's right. Back
Go.
on topic.
What is it?
Most important part of getting better at being an artist, or anything really in life. It's the foundation. It really is like the foundation that all of your other disciplines and abilities kind of grow out from.
But isn't it easier just to hope and wish that somebody's going to hold your hand and guide you through everything?
It is. It's much easier.
And
God bless you if someone will do that. That's going to be way easier on you, but it'll limit your growth, I think.
Exactly.
In my opinion, it will limit your growth. You'll always be limited to what the other person is willing to show you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can train your critical thinking, and if you can figure out how to work that for yourself, then there's no limit to your growth. You can always learn what you want to learn, and you can always get better.
Exactly. And it's something like, as these weeks go by where I'm literally teaching people right in front of me, and it's slightly different from doing just tutorials, there's a point where I'm just like, and I'll tell them, like, I've taught you what you need to know. I can't hold your hand for the rest of this, because that in itself is a lesson. And which is why, if you go back to one of my earlier videos, the freaking purple tint color tutorial, which is still the most popular video, and it's the only video that brings all these new subs, and I'm like, I don't
really?
It still gets more subs than any other video.
That's amazing.
And so the thing is, like, as much as it's a useful video and people like that, part of me wishes, like, okay, so I've showed you the format of like how you can do something. Now, what's your take on it? Like, and that's an opportunity for you to explore and grow and develop your own style and your taste. Because like,
I haven't watched that video.
It's actually funny too, which is why I think a lot of my videos resonate. Because I'm not like, try this color, but it's more like it's a natural expression of how I actually go about doing things. But the thing is, I think for me, when I was learning how to paint, how to draw, I was at home. I didn't have YouTube. I was just in my basement, like, frustrated looking at existing oil paintings and trying to emulate them with no teacher. There was nobody that showed me how to mix paint. I think that alone is why I'm able to look at anything and sit down and actually ask myself, how did they do that? Mm-hmm. And then instead of hoping somebody on YouTube or a teacher at school is going to be like, well, there's this layer, there's that, there's this color, think about this, which is definitely okay, that's great, but
and it helps with the learning.
The ability to do that on your own, though, is so valuable. And sometimes it's frustrating when it's almost like you feed a stray once and it keeps coming back. I'm not calling you guys strays. I am.
It sounds like you.
I'm sorry. That's not what I mean. I don't mean it in a derogatory, condescending...
Backtrack. Make it better.
I love all of you.
Okay, good. They probably forgot about the other thing.
What other thing? See? All right. Anyway, so critical thinking. It's good for you.
Essential.
And I get all the most commonly asked questions regarding, please make a tutorial on the following. And it's drawing a head from different angles. So 3/4, top down 3/4 from underneath.
You're saying that specifically is the most common request?
Is specifically the most common request regarding anatomy. And then facial expressions. And then recently I've been getting requests to do anime, which is, I can show you how to do it. But I don't want to because I don't like it. But I'm telling you, you're capable of looking at it and deconstructing and dissecting and deciphering every little shape and line and how they do it. And if you can do it with one thing, then you can do it with anything, whether it's a painting, a drawing, or how to build a car. Maybe it's building a car. You might need a manual.
It might be.
But
once there's like hard points, things kind of change.
But there's a lesson there, you know.
Absolutely.
Talk, because I'm done talking.
Well, you mentioning the specific request for tutorials, and especially for something like learning a style, in quotes, which is kind of its own pitfalls and whole thing, you should also be able to remix what you've already learned. Like, there's a certain amount of synesthesia that has to go on. Like, you have to be able to look back at stuff you already know. And other tutorials that you've watched, which if they're any good, they have all the fundamentals in there.
Yes.
If you've watched one long, good quality tutorial or had one good teacher, probably at its core, everything you would ever need to know has already been transmitted, and now it's time for you to learn how to figure that stuff out on your own.
Yeah.
You should be able to look back in your mind and say, what do I know about this, and how do I take that and apply it to what I'm trying to learn now?
And that is what separates, the people who are waiting to be taught and the people who are like, I'm not going to wait. I need to learn this now. And it's, I get a lot of comments of people saying like, well, I'm in this foreign country. I'm in this state where there's no artists around me. There's no art schools. I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Ohio. Like, there was no artists around me. There was no art. The only art resources I had was like a couple tutorials online, and even that was just very minimal. And there's, of course, art books, but even through that, I was teaching myself. And of course, all of that was augmented by art school, art center, and CCAD. But the thing is, I just want to pass that on to other people. Of course, I'll still keep doing tutorials because there are some things that I know that could definitely help catalyze your learning, but at the same time, I want to make a tutorial on how to learn, right?
Yeah.
And it's very much something that I wish well, it's not that I needed to hear it because I was doing it, but if I was caught up in waiting for somebody to hold my hand and walk me through it, I would want to hear the possibility that, yeah, you can learn this on your own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I grew up in New York, and there was a lot of artists around me, but I knew very few people who, even amongst the artists that I knew very few people who their priority was drawing, and specifically how to get, in quotes, better at drawing. I just wasn't exposed to those people a lot, and I didn't have a lot around me, and I just didn't have like a community for that. And I sort of missed the whole online boat around those years. Like, I came
conceptart.org.
Yeah, like I missed that completely. I came to that very late. I came to it like around when it was dying,
Yeah.
And even my instructors, even my art teachers in school, they weren't really focused on drawing or technical ability, and they taught me other stuff. They
how to put glitter on glue, that kind of thing.
Sure, that kind of thing. they instructed on a bunch of different things that wasn't what I was looking for at the time. Looking back, there was stuff I could have paid more attention to and taken more from that would have done me a lot of good. But back then, it was a lot of going to Barnes & Noble and fishing through books and saying, is this a good book? Is this a bad book? What makes a good book? What makes a bad book?
Right.
And then I made some weird judgment calls. I made other ones that to this day I still think were a little better. And, I would copy those drawings, break them down. And that was really where most of the learning in that period came from.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
That's an idea. So
sure. I
am putting together this folder of existing images of different artists throughout history as well as contemporary. For the lecture that I'll be doing. But like, okay, I'll pull this up and I'll put it on the screen for YouTube. This is a painting by Edwin Austin Abbey. We could talk about it, but let's talk about it and then break it down and how. What can we learn from it? That kind of thing.
Sure.
So I'll let you kind of give us a background on this.
All right. A background on Abbey?
Yeah, whatever you want to talk about.
All right. Well, Edwin Austin Abbey was a very prolific and very successful pen and ink illustrator for most of his years.
Pen and ink?
Yeah, his black and white illustrations are fantastic if you've never seen them.
No,
he is a hero for the late bloomer, because if I'm not mistaken, he didn't start painting in oils until he was 30 or 40. And he got this good that late into the game. He already had incredible drawing skills. Also, his teacher was Sargent. He was friends with Sargent, so that helps a little bit, I bet.
So you're saying it doesn't matter how late you're in the game?
It doesn't.
Because that's a common question, too, and it's just...
Yeah. I mean, he definitely had the drawing chops, but if I'm not mistaken, from what I've read, he didn't really get into painting until later in life. I think he was 40. I think it was around 40, and then he started putting out stuff like this.
I still have time to finally get good then.
Yeah, I still have time to learn anime. I can
Oh, boy.
But yeah, that's a little bit of background on Abbey. His illustrations are amazing. When I look at a piece like this, I've never seen this one in person, but I've seen, if I'm not mistaken, this is another Shakespeare illustration, and I've seen, it says, this is Hamlet. I've seen one of his ones in this style at the Metropolitan Museum.
I saw that with you. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's big. It's an illustration from King Lear, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it the one where there's the woman in red in the not the center, but like on the fifth, and then we got like the triangular?
I think so.
The black cloaked people in the background.
I think you're thinking of a different one. I think another one you're talking. They're walking, and there's a bunch of guys carrying spears.
Is it the one? Yeah, or is it the one where there's a sad dog in it?
Yes, it's the sad dog one. That's exactly how I was going to describe it, because that sad dog steals the show. It's the funniest thing.
It's great.
There's a lot to be learned about staging there. That even the dog is sad in that painting.
Which reminds me, before, have you seen the mannequin challenge?
The mannequin challenge?
All right, so this thing going on right now. It's like the new hashtag for now.
Okay.
And basically, it's this challenge where you have a scene of people, like for example, there'll be a soccer team in the locker room, and the challenge is that everybody has to do some kind of motion and then freeze. And then a cameraman goes around and looks at each person, and it looks like it's like a bullet time, right? But there's a whole bunch of different ones, and people just doing things at cafes and like having. There was like one of this school assembly where the person, no, it was actually a volleyball game at a school, and somebody said freeze, and everybody, including the audience, like froze, and then they panned around, looked at everybody. But what I noticed about that was everybody had some kind of gestural thing that they're doing, and it was very staged, right? In a good way. Something
interesting.
And that kind of staging is the kind of stuff that you would see in these paintings instead of just people just standing there. So everybody was doing something, even in action, like just standing there required some kind of interesting pose, right?
Yeah.
So that's happening here. Maybe not to the extent of the challenge, but in other illustrations like the Norman Rockwell paintings, everybody's doing something.
For sure.
All those paintings have the mannequin challenge in them. So
so that's important. But yeah, when I look at a piece like this, especially if I'm in critical breakdown mode, first thing I do is squint at it, and I try to evaluate any hierarchies that I can pick out. And the contrast hierarchy on this piece is really clear. If you squint down even really severely, it's all about her on the right there. She's got the most light, and this is stuff that you and I know, but if you squint and you break down the piece, that's going to be one of the first things that you notice, because Abbey has very carefully constructed the piece so that the contrast everywhere else is very severely toned down. Like, she has very light skin. It's higher in value than most anything else except stuff that's happening on him. And she also has dark darks very close to that. And then those get ramped up the further away that it gets from her. And like contrast number 2, if it's not the triangle that she makes with the guy, anything outside of this, like the second highest point of contrast, the next thing in the hierarchy is like these red spots behind the silhouettes of their heads. And that's a very saturated red, and we know that the chroma point for red is actually like a 50% gray. So we know that's, if you did this black and white, that contrast is not as crazy as anything that's going on here value-wise. So first thing when I look at something like this is I break down that contrast hierarchy, and then I start making some evaluations, get away from the abstract and think about what's happening in here figuratively and solidly. And I love the staging of something like this because it is very artificial. It does feel like a play, which fits perfectly with the fact that it's a Shakespeare illustration. But this is probably not how this would be framed in a movie, for example. Yeah, which is an interesting thing to take note of.
There'd be more lens flare and color.
Sure, there'd be a lot of correction, but it would also be blocked differently. Blocking is the art of how you arrange people on a stage or on a film set. The blocking would be different in a movie, at least to me. Like, there would be someone in the foreground over here, like looking in, or there would be some kind of object or something creating more depth.
Like the Kurosawa.
Exactly. Yeah, something like that. But this feels more flat on, which maybe you would avoid if you were directing a movie or something like that. But I feel like it works for this because it is a play. Yeah. And everybody's back then would recognize, this is a Hamlet thing. So it feels right for the subject matter. And it also creates a really interesting figure field thing. Because there's not huge depth differences between all of the characters, this whole area, when you squint down, just becomes like a field, almost background, and he's pulling people's faces forward, and then it's setting up a really nice big contrast where they're all high and then they're low. Right. And it's everyone's looking down on them, the psychological thing of maybe there's some kind of judgment going on, or they have power over them displayed physically in the piece, Yeah,
I don't know the story of Hamlet, so I couldn't guess what that is.
Can't really remember what this scene would be specifically.
Yeah, going back to when you were talking about the thing on the top right, where the reds, if it was a black and white, image, they wouldn't be as bright. Because reds are the most saturated, the most chromatic when they're around 50% darkness. If you make it any lighter, it looks kind of like a pink, and that's not very nice.
Goes more to magenta.
Yeah, and so, but the reason it looks like it's bright when it's in color is because red glows in a certain way against black. If you took that same red and put it near her, you wouldn't even see it as bright anymore. So that's just something to remember. But the first thing that kind of stood out to me is, there's the contrast value hierarchy, but also the angularity of every line. You have triangles literally everywhere. You have the triangle that she and him are making, and then the triangle. It's almost like a zigzag from right to left, where that guy's face starts down to the bottom of that guy, the white robe of that kind of pope-looking guy, and then to the queen, down to where her robe meets the king's robe, and back up again. And it's just this really well done dynamic angularity.
Really nice diagonals, yeah.
And it's hardly any verticals. The only verticals are the posts on the
throne thing.
The throne, that's a huge throne.
Yeah. And they work because he's set up for them, because they kind of offset those angles, and they make each other sing.
Yeah, and the side of that guy's robe a little bit. But yeah, and then the value of her just kind of forces us to look there, right? And also how all of the lights, anything above a 70% is on the bottom half of the painting. Not bottom half, even just the bottom sliver, maybe a fifth, and then she just, she's, placed right on the third there.
Yeah. Very carefully controlled.
I'm sure the golden section fits right onto that.
Sure.
Yeah. It's a beautiful painting.
Love it.
Good stuff.
It's a classic.
This is kind of fun. We'll go to another one.
Sure.
What's next? Lion Decker. That's Austin Abbey too. Right?
Yeah, one of his pastel studies, right?
Yeah, Sargent. That's appropriate because, so you know more about the history than I do, but he was friends with Edwin Austin Abbey?
He was, yeah. There's a great painting. They would paint together. Sargent gave him instruction on starting out with oil paint, and it's really interesting, the dynamic between them of their art, because they were very different artists. Abbey was all about imagination and creating illustrations
and staging, that previous one.
and Sargent was more about painting from life and all of that. And there's a perfect illustration of that they have it at the Met. They don't have Abbey's, but they have...
The snow one?
Yeah, the snow one.
Yeah.
Sargent and Abbey were on a painting trip, and they got snowed in, but they still wanted to paint. So they set up a mannequin out in the snow, and they draped a costume on it. And then they went back inside and they painted it through the window of the house they were staying in. And Sargent did a beautiful Sargent painting of just the scene with like this limp mannequin sitting in the middle of the snow. As is, but it's great because he controlled his values and his contrast and all his beautiful Sargent stuff. And then Abbey did like a singing bard coming out of a castle inspired by the values and the colors of the scene he was seeing. And, you know, they both have their merits, but Abbey's is definitely the more exciting picture, and it was a really nice painting.
That's right.
Very interesting.
That's right. Yeah. But to even, so like there's the whole concept of fine art or, you know, alla prima painting, where you're painting from life. But to me, this is still an illustration because...
For sure.
As, you know, reflective as it is of reality, he's making decisions that are design decisions. For example, like I think a lot of these shapes he's simplifying down. Sure. You know, if you look at the dress as it's folding over, you know, the arrangement of shapes there, I don't think it was actually like that. I'm sure he probably, you know, grouped them together and like probably pushed and pulled little shapes this way and that. And then there's the choices he's making around the edges. Sharp to blur, like look at where her elbow is, you know, jutting into the darkness there. That's a blurred edge. And as you go up to the shoulder, that's super sharp, right? That's a choice. And the reason he's doing that is he's guiding us on where to look. Because when you have an area of high contrast sharpness, it's sort of calling attention to it. And it's sort of like a symphony. You're going to have certain parts of the song that are going to call more attention with loudness or noise, and parts that are more soft. So it kind of guides you like a very well written song, and so that's what you do with art. That's what he's doing, you know, moving our eye from different parts to it. And then the face just has so many different values. I get often, you know, this question of like, how do you paint skin tones? Like, what are the skin tones? And it's different for every light situation. Like this has so many different colors. There's reds, yellows, a little bit of blues in there. To the trained eye. So, you know, depending on the lighting, it's going to be different, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
That's just showing off as far as I'm concerned.
That feather thing up there.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That is good stuff. Yeah, I agree with everything you said.
What a bastard.
Yeah.
He's good.
He was the best.
You could learn a lot from a Sargent.
He was very good at what he did.
Glad I got to see a bunch of his paintings. I'm just going to put it right in the middle here. Let's hit next. Oh man, this is one of my favorite ones.
Classic.
Repose.
Did you use this one for one of your studies in Cato's class?
No, I did.
Someone did.
I did the octopus. Yeah,
That's
someone.
right.
I think Julia did this one.
This is a great one.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Alexander White's Reclining Woman? It recalls this one.
I'll Google it.
I think I have the name right.
Oh, it's hitting 7.
There it goes. Goodbye, 7. We're going to 7.com.
I had the microphone on the 7 key. What was the name? Alexander.
Google Alexander White Reclining. Maybe that'll bring it up. Do I have the name right?
I hope that 7 didn't stop our... Okay, we're good.
Go to images.
There's a lot of reclining chairs. Lazy boy.
Maybe it's Alexander... that's it.
Oh, yeah.
John White Alexander.
John White Alexander.
I was close.
Let's get a bigger version of this.
Every time I see that one, I remember that other Sargent painting. I think they definitely knew each other's pieces, whichever one came first.
The insanity that the focal point, which is, you know, her face and shadow, or, you know, her upper torso, is all in a very small area, and the rest of the painting is just a support for that, right? We often think, like, if we're going to do a portrait, you got to fill the whole canvas from top to bottom with the face, but that's like, in a painting, like maybe 30, 40 pixels, depending on your size, right?
It's also it also makes a strong case for scale, because when you see this painting in person, it's like 5 feet wide.
Oh, that's huge.
So
okay.
So that head is under life size for sure, but you earned that smaller space for the head and the elbow and all that. You earned it with the rest of the piece. You set up for it perfectly. You get what I'm saying? Like when you see it at scale and it kind of takes up your whole field of vision,
right.
It really all those flowing lines kind of earn that point of emphasis for you. Something that I also really loved about this one, and I see Sargent do this all the time, is Sargent was especially good about this. There's a rule break about contrast here. Her face is not the highest point of contrast. Just if you color pick it, you can't get away from it. The skirt against the black background, against the black thing behind her, that's highest contrast. You're like,
right.
Well, but that breaks the rules. I went to art school, highest contrast being the point of emphasis. If you can earn it, I feel like this does a magical effect. What I think it does is you enter the painting there and you look at her hip, and then because it's a face, your face immediately goes to the face and it wants to linger there. But because you didn't put the highest point of contrast on the go-to, you get a flicker. Because now that you're looking at the face, your eye wants to go back to her hip. And then when it's back on her hip, your eye wants to go back to her face. And I think that that's something that makes a painting feel alive, because your eye can't stop. Like it keeps wanting to shoot back and forth, and it has like a spark. It has like an energy. You get what I'm saying?
I gotta say, that was very eloquently put.
Thank you.
Never would have even guessed about that. Yeah,
I see that in a lot of Sargent pieces, and I think that that's one of the reasons that some of his stuff feels like alive, you know? I don't know how else to put it, but just when you look at a piece and you can tell that's got some magic that other stuff doesn't have.
That's some next level stuff, man.
That's kind of why you have to like learn the rules and then break them later.
Yeah,
you know?
of course. But don't you want to just do like fan art portraits of Steven Universe though?
Sure.
Yeah. So.
Sure, let's do some right now.
So all this doesn't matter.
It doesn't. No one's standing in front of Sargents in museums and going, "Man, the flicker." Everyone's like, "Dude, why did Sargent paint Elsa?"
Yeah. Where's Frozen? Why didn't he paint Frozen?
Oh man.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
What else have we got here? Madam X, classic.
Winner.
Who did this?
This is
Tadema. Yes.
Always have to check with the file name, because there's a lot of people who followed Tadema and they came pretty close. I can't remember really their names really, but
I love that guy.
Beautiful.
He's like, I deserve this bowl of wine and this lovely lady who's my wife, and we're going to have a great time. And I don't know if that's the story, but you know, and it's emphasized that, you know, he's in a position of power, because like if you look at the mural on the wall, these, I guess, slaves or something are you know, carrying this thing, and I don't know. That's storytelling there.
I can dig it, man.
Still not as good as Frozen or Tangled, but...
Well, if she was Elsa and he was the prince from Frozen, then that would make this piece a lot better.
I'm going to Photoshop that
to
for the
make
video.
This piece a lot better. And, you know, Olaf is down here in the corner, like, we're about to break into song.
I like warm hugs. Did you have to say that? Did you have to say that? You don't have to cut that part out now?
It's been years, man. It's been years.
I need to buy it. Okay.
Oh, jeez.
Cut.
Great pose on that guy.
Now I have to do extra work.
I gave you something to cut to at least. What? No one's gonna come after you.
Yeah, but it says a lot about me. They'll never know what we're talking about because we cut it out.
Good.
Perfect. You're gonna get messages. Hey, what was that thing that you talked about 39 minutes in?
Nobody bother. He's not gonna respond.
So yeah, it's a good piece. I like it. You know, because for I'll be teaching character design, and I want to, you know, eventually after the foundations get into storytelling, and I think that's a great example of, you know, storytelling through just a subtle pose, and you know, context clues and stuff. Back to Edwin. Leyendecker, I guess he was kind of good.
He was alright.
He was okay. He did drawings or something.
He was alright.
He's awesome. Dude, I've been meaning to do this stupid artist spotlight video for so long, and it's going to be for him.
Well, if you're doing line decorating, there's a lot of stuff to
which is why
he was a master at everything.
Which is why it's hard for me to hone in and do the video, because it's like, what do I talk about first? And then I get so flustered that I have to walk away, then I never get it done. There's too much to talk about. Shape design, expression, storytelling, values, painting, stylization. There, I did it. I did the spotlight. Done.
Good. Wow, I learned a lot.
I guess I never have to do it.
Great breakdown.
Yeah. Wilhelm Busch. Underrated, because nobody knows him.
Yeah.
He's in the camp of like the Heinrich Kley type sketching and drawing.
These are really good.
Yeah, I really like these. And the reason I'm going to talk about these is the simple ability to tell a story with the pose, the expressions. It's a lot of staging, you know.
For sure.
And it's like, I think you did theater in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you were always talking about when you do a gesture, you exaggerate it.
Yeah, it's got to be big enough to be seen from the back of the auditorium.
Exactly. So when somebody's whispering, they're really leaning in. And so I think Wilhelm Busch is doing that with all his little sketches.
Yeah, really nice.
What's also great is the dynamics of his line work, how all the lines like to come in and point to whatever the focal point is. Really cool stuff.
Really jaunty, really nice.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a cool one.
Which one? Oh, the cowboy one.
It's nice.
Yeah, that's really fun. So, you know, critical thinking. If I was to look at this page, just to remind myself later, it's a Busch FUP2. Is that one on the bottom? It's like, you know, what can we learn from that? And the first thing that I think about is, well, pose and expression, but how the heads are not on the same horizontal plane. Like one is just slightly higher than the other. If they were perfectly even, it would throw it off for me, right?
For sure.
But
and
also,
there wouldn't be a power dynamic then.
Exactly. Even though, you know, he's in this like kind of aggressive pose, she's still holding her ground.
It makes it feel like he's really trying to like convince her of something.
Yeah, and she's not buying it.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not letting you have my muffins. They're mine. I know you want them. You came here, knocked on my door, but nope.
These muffins are not for you, Cletus.
Right.
Just shot in the dark.
Right on. But let's look at the one up top. So, and to me, in a way, like, because these are all, they look like ink to me. He was sort of the Kim Jong-gi, not as much, but of his time, because, like, you know, he has a great understanding of perspective. He's obviously not drawing floating motorcycle engines turning into elephants, but
sure.
You know, he's telling a story with very limited lines in pen.
Really nice.
Perfect perspective. It might not be perfect in terms of like, oh, if you overlay lines, it's not going to be, but it feels right. You know, even Craig Mullins, if you look at some of his paintings, that the perspective doesn't line up perfectly, but it looks right. So
perspective has to be right before it is correct.
Yes. Go on. Top left, I think that goose is trying to bite that dog's behind.
And look at the duck. He's like, no.
Yeah.
No, don't bite it.
Yeah, the dog is just like, I just want my biscuits, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm running out of things. What do we got? All right, I want to go for full hour, 15 minutes more. What do we want to talk about?
We could. That's really good. We could talk. Well, critical thinking's the theme, right?
Right.
So we could talk about.
Could you just do the rest of the podcast?
Sure.
All right, I'm gonna go.
One of the, I think.
Do you want more tea? Are you good?
Is there more tea sitting out there?
Well, no, you just put more hot water.
Are you about to get more tea? Oh, I'm good.
Yeah. Okay.
One of the, if we go back to like learning how to learn some of the basics of that, I think is good to download a little bit. At least like, if you're looking at something, and you, let's say you see a new piece of art by a new artist. And it's like in a new style. In quotes.
Oh my God! How
That's
did you
amazing.
do that? What brushes did you use?
Exactly. You get blown away. The first thing that you need to overcome is the magic.
Yes.
Like, you need to turn that off for a second. If you're serious about wanting to learn that and be like, I want to learn something from this and I want to get better as an artist.
Disclaimer before you move on. There's something that happens when you do that though, and it takes the magic away, literally, and you can't enjoy it the same way. So it's almost giving up that part.
It is.
It's almost
you're
like
making a trade-off.
It's like seeing how a magician actually did that trick where he pulls a bird out of his palm. I don't know. So I feel that a lot. Like, I can't enjoy the same pieces I used to anymore because I know how it's done and I can do it. Anyway, sorry, go on.
So you make that assessment, you make that choice. You're like, this is something I want to learn from, and I want to learn how they did it. And maybe they don't have tutorials or something like that, but you want to learn how they did a particular part of it. Step one, you have to turn off that magic, and you've got to turn off the part of your brain that's saying that they're a hero, or that it's impossible,
divine,
or that you could never do it, or that they're an art god. Like, think that later. While you're learning, you need to turn that off, because none of it is magic. One way or another, they got it down on the canvas, and you can do it too. It doesn't matter. You can find a way to do it. So you turn that off, and then you have to ask yourself, what is it that I like about this? Which can be really hard when you're blown away by a piece, because you're just like, everything about it is so incredible, and it's hard to quantify. Like, is it the drawing? Is it the color? Is it the values? Is it the staging? Is it the story? That's really hard to break down, but you have to kind of, and there's no right answer for any given piece. What you're actually doing is you're having an opinion. You're choosing for you what is your favorite stuff about this, and that's really what art is. It's about having an opinion and knowing how you feel about things. That's a big part about how you experience art and how you make it.
Having an opinion and not depending on some kind of consensus externally to make sure that your opinion's right. Forget that.
Exactly, yeah. Because there's no rules on any of that stuff. You're allowed to like whatever you like, but that's a whole other thing. So make that list. Say, here's what I think and what I feel I like the most about something like this. And then you get into the real critical thinking part. I mean, you've already been doing it, but now you're really going to put in a lot of legwork, because you're going to start breaking down, if the drawing is one of the things that I like about this, or one of the things that I want to get better at, how would I break down the way this drawing is done and then figure out a way to practice that? So maybe the drawing feels very free and loose, or maybe the drawing feels beautifully constructed and very solid. Put it in terms like that, and then say, how would I do that? How would I get better at that? If the drawing is done very free and loose, are you going to really learn that by sticking to what you already know and copying it tightly? Does that actually make sense if you think through it critically? No, maybe you should do a bunch of copies of that loosely and learn how to do that loose movement.
Exactly.
You're only going to get better at stuff you practice. So much of a lot of art education that's out there says, do all the stuff that's unrelated and later you'll be good at it. Be careful with that. I don't think that always works. I think you only get good at the stuff that you actually practice, and that's why mileage is so important. So if you...
Focused mileage.
Yeah, focused mileage. Like, maybe you're not doing exactly right, but at least you're working on a path towards that thing that makes sense, that is connected. Like, if your dream is to draw like Kim Jong-gi, who draws freely and with no under guides and things like that, you probably need to go through a period where you do that to get a grip on it. But if you do that forever and you just pray that at 65 one day you'll be able to just turn it off and do it, it's not going to work, man. He's been drawing like that for years and years and years, and he takes his time and he does it carefully. You got to practice that too. So you kind of break down that list of how you think you can approach the aspects of this piece of art that you enjoy and the thing that makes them what they are, and then you have to get experimental and put in some scientific process and do experiments and try and fail and then succeed and say, why did I succeed, and then how do I carry that through into the other parts? It becomes a whole art on its own.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's just the willingness to fail is so daunting. Failing is daunting. A daunting thing. It's like, seeing it as like, who has the goal of like, I'm going to fail on purpose? Nobody, right? So that's what you have to do, though, because you have to go through the phase of where, okay, there's my goal. I know I can't get it right the first time. Maybe after 30 times of failing. But like, once you fail the first time and the second time, it's really distressing and it can stop you. But But if you accept it as part of the process, then you're one step closer. And if you compare your fifth failure to your first, there's gonna be improvement. And that alone. Do you hear that?
I do.
What is that? All right.
It sounds like Majora's Mask music.
I'm not even gonna close the window. I'm gonna let that play.
That's background music.
Yeah. So what was I saying? So your fifth failure will definitely be better than your first, and that improvement alone, just focus on that. Be like, look, it worked here. I can amplify this by doing this again. Fail 5 more times, and then you compare the first again. Bada bing, bada boom. Suddenly you're Craig Mullins.
Suddenly.
Oh boy.
Just all of a sudden. Yeah, failure. You have to get comfortable with it. You really do have to get comfortable with it. Because otherwise you're doing other things because you're afraid, and you're not attacking what you actually want to be doing. And you do that for years, and then you finally one day you build up the courage and you're like, I'm going to do the thing that I wanted to do. And you find, oh crap, I should have been practicing that the whole time.
Right.
But I was just too afraid. I had too much fear.
Much like in writing, much like in art, much like in music, it's relying on the cliche for now to finally do what you want later. And the reason we do cliches, both in essays and, I'm sure you can think back to your high school essays, and you just put the typical format of what you think the teacher wants to hear, blah, blah, blah. But we hide behind cliches because the thing that we really are, we don't want to expose. We'd be vulnerable. Because if somebody criticizes or judges the cliche, no big deal, because that's not who you really are. If I do a cliche drawing of like, typical elf girl, whatever, and that's, criticized, I'm like, yeah, because that's not my best work. And I have all this whole list of reasons and excuses saying, yeah, of course it's not going to be well received or criticized because it's not my real thing. And then that prevents me from actually ever doing my real thing, because that's the vulnerability. But lately I've been tackling that head on, and I think I'm in my sketchbook and doing these fun drawings, and I'm actually enjoying it. I haven't been posting them because it's part of it. It's like, I just want to see what it's like not doing it for Instagram. And I promise you the results are far more true to my voice and true to my vulnerable inner child than the cliches. So how do we get on that? Whatever. So yeah,
because we're talking about fear.
Yes,
fear is everything.
Yes. So, the daunting feeling of going on the journey of learning. Man, this has been such a, because I'm like sort of just having woken up and I'm really tired. Usually when I'm talking, I'm super happy. And okay, so I'm gonna put a link in the description for Ian McKegg's most recent lecture he did at his school. He's so fun. He's so animated. He's so like, yes, I want that to be what exudes from my talks, from my art. But then I realized that I can't mimic. That would just be a copy. I have to discover who that version is of me.
Exactly, yeah.
But God, he's good. He can talk about anything and make it seem interesting. And then when he talks about drawing and art, it makes you want to pick up a pencil and just draw. So
he's got it going on. He's very inspirational.
He's so, yeah.
He's the art motivational speaker.
I met him.
Continue. Nothing. Just nothing.
It was good. It was fun. He drew in my sketchbook. I have the drawing. It was cool.
It's a nice drawing.
I was inspired for weeks. It was good.
Direct transmission.
And so maybe someday that is a part of one of my goals, is to be a beacon of, that kind of positive inspiration. Because right now I'm just beating you guys up like, you should do critical thinking. Wah, crying over here because I have to make tutorials. But
that's more my thing. You move towards positive. I'll berate people.
Lately, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we have 6 minutes left. Go. Anything.
What, should we change topics completely?
Yes.
All right.
I've been drinking a lot of lattes. I got to cut down on that.
Big on the lattes.
It's really expensive these days. God.
Yeah, I mean, every latte is like, what, $5? Something
it's
like that?
Insane.
It's a lot. It builds up.
If anyone is curious, I get the sugar-free vanilla breve. You know what that means? It's a half and half instead of milk, because it's creamier, more delicious. You've tried it. It's good.
It's good. Seattle boy.
Yeah. Seattle's the real stuff. I came to LA and the latte's just not right. It's missing something. You know, it's really done right in Seattle.
You could still go to coffee shops and get like the tea or something like that. That's always cheaper.
Yeah.
Or just work at home, but that's so hard.
Yeah. Did I tell you? I told you I'm making a book. I just announced it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say about that. Like I said, I'm really spread thin these days, but okay, so yeah, I'm making a book, and I'm talking to this publisher, and Joel Duggan, he's also a fellow podcaster. He does web comics. He's we've been talking for a while, and he's building this publishing company, and he actually has a successful Kickstarter with another artist, Piper. I'll put the link in that as well. Mm-hmm. Hopefully I remember putting all these links. I just promised all this stuff about putting stuff on the screen.
So many promises.
See, I wish it was just one of those podcasts where I just talk and I don't have to edit it. But no, I sabotage my life by adding 5 more hours of work.
And having us like look at art and talk about it.
That's now I want to do like little, when I talk about the triangles, I want to draw the triangles.
Of course, yeah.
God.
Always piling the work on.
What was I saying? So yeah, we started talking about possibly a book for me. He's like, "Hey, you have a lot of great work out there. We just compile it and put it together." And then automatically, I'm like, no. If I make a book, it's going to be all new work. Maybe some old stuff showing what I've done before, but I want to find my, like I said, that voice and make that my thing. Instead of like, oh, this is my book of artwork that I did to get likes on Instagram. Like, that's so empty. And we were talking about this. I wish
you want to do more of your personal stuff, your drawings of me sleeping and stuff like that.
I've never drawn you sleeping.
Well, yeah, you have to say that on here.
Jeez. I don't know what to do in these situations because they could totally believe that. Obviously, it's not true. But, like, then there's, like, the Tumblr crowd. Like, here's speculation. Let's ship it. Like, God, what have you done?
Spoke the truth.
God, I'm telling your girlfriend. See what I did there?
I'll text her right now. I don't care.
Anyway, what was I saying? So, what I wanted to say... God, you derailed it. You evil person. Fool of a chook. You're doing the thing.
Yeah, I'm a goblin. It feels good. That's what I identify with.
I need to backtrack now. Okay, so talking about making the book, doing art that I want, not for the Instagram likes. And
that's where I interrupted you.
Yes, now I forgot it. It was very important. Now they're never going to hear it.
You were probably going to talk about what you wanted it to be and what you wanted the work to feel like.
Oh, no, it was... Nope, nothing.
All right, well, I don't regret anything.
Drawings of me sleeping.
I'm glad I interrupted you, and I would do it again, and yes, I would be proud of it.
You're horrible. Like when you said that, I didn't know how to respond because it's like, wait, they're gonna actually think that. Like I imagine I have you come over, like, hey, it's nap time. Here's some cookies. Have some like food and like.
And I'm like, good luck, enjoy it.
And then you
can't wait to see how it comes out.
And then I prop up the blankets to have a nice composition, and I sit there and draw you sleeping. Oh boy.
I like the cookies part. That's good.
Yeah. Well. So yeah, I want to make a book, and definitely just make that. I'll have more information on that as it's being a realized thing, in real life, and so it'll be fun. It's quite an endeavor.
Can it be a pop-up book?
That's the plan.
Oh man, that'd be so dope.
Yeah. Ian McKeag's book, Shadowline, has these little pamphlets that you can take out and the little tutorials on how to draw. So many things you can do,
Yeah, it could be a pop-up book. You could have pamphlets. You could put some of your hair in there, some of your human hair in there.
Why do I invite you to these things?
You don't have any other friends.
That's true.
It's just me. Yep. What instrument is that?
That's a saxophone.
Oh, is it?
Maybe? A horn? I don't know.
I know nothing about music. So bad.
I played a guitar once.
You did it once.
Well, I guess that's the podcast.
Well, you ended it on like a book announcement. I mean, that feels like an ending.
Yeah.
Like revealing that you're doing a book.
Hey guys, remember to subscribe. All right.
Come on, man. Like, follow, triple subscribe, make an extra account, do it again. Wow.
Share with your friends. Don't do any of that. God, unsubscribe. Get out of here. I don't care anymore. You got any last words? Before I kill you.
Send me pictures of your dog.
I don't have... Oh, if you have a dog... Yeah, this is good. This is great. You want to just put your email out there? And
if you have a really cute dog, send me pictures of your dog at stevensketches@gmail.com. That's Steven with a V. Anyone with the PH is a heretic. It's against our tribe. So
I'll put that on the screen. Hopefully, I don't forget that one. Steven, you like dogs. We could add a little bit extra time about and we can have a discussion about dogs.
I feel like that's a bit of a downer after like a book announcement.
You like dogs.
Just send me a picture of your dog, please. It would make my day.
Okay. Well, do you have a preference? Huskies, pit bulls, or
anything over 20 pounds?
Anything? Oh, you just slashed off a whole bunch of people's dogs there.
I made a bunch of people angry. Yeah.
Yeah. Why? What's wrong with the small chihuahuas?
No, they're cute.
Are they?
Yeah. Well, it's just...
They're like cats.
I worry... I think chihuahuas are cute, and I approve of people having them. It's just I can never do it because it's like they're always shaking. I feel like they're going to break any second. I don't want that. I need a dog I can like wrestle, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I need.
And he's happy to wrestle.
I am.
Yeah.
Happy to wrestle.
Well, I mean, the dog's happy to wrestle.
Oh, right, yeah, the dog's happy to wrestle. But I'm also happy to wrestle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't stop. Come on.
I'm not making the sounds anymore.
What do you want to say? What are your final words? What do you want people to email you? I see your brain working.
I got nothing, man.
No, nothing you want to see, huh?
I don't want any more emails. Dude, I get probably like many emails a day, requesting tutorials and personal mentorships, which I can't do. I'm sorry, guys. I'm booked. I'm very booked.
Maybe you should write out like a critical thinking, self-teaching like step sequence, and you can always just copy paste that to them.
Yeah.
Why do you like this piece? Break down why. What do you want to learn from it? How do you learn that?
Yeah.
Do it.
Do it.
And don't be afraid to do it. Just actually do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Get in there.
Stop. If you're like, I want to do amazing paintings, but I gotta learn all this stuff first. Yeah, learn it. But then on the side, do your amazing paintings. Get the practice. Like, don't get stuck in all the stuff beforehand.
You look so frustrated.
It frustrates me. I mean, I get so frustrated with stuff like that. Like people who, I'll use Kingdom G as an example again because he's an easy target. But so many people are like, I want to draw like him. And I'm doing all this stuff to learn how to do that, but I'm not doing that at all. Like, have you actually tried picking up an ink brush and doing it in one go? Everybody says it's impossible. Who could do this? This is amazing. I promise you 99% of those people have not tried it. Because I bet if you give it a few shots, try it for a week, I bet by the end of the week you'd be like, oh, I could see how you could do that with years of practice. You would see how you could pre-visualize and put the strokes down right, and like you would just do it. Just please try it instead of being a talker. Please.
You're so intense right now. Calm down. No, I've seen you do the Kim Jong-gi stuff, and it's like, yeah, I could see you do that. The difference is like he's got an incredible, vast mental library.
Yeah.
The nuts and bolts of every engine out there, right?
For sure.
And so yeah.
Yeah. But if you try it, you can step away from the technical stuff, and you can see that. You can be like, oh wait, it's not about the impossibility of drawing with ink. I need to go like learn all this stuff about the world and look at more stuff and things like that.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me on the podcast.
I get angry.
The Medcast. All right. So if you're tuning in, thanks for tuning in. Hang in there. Just
don't ever stop. Keep going.
I'm not leaving YouTube. I'm just doing my thing right now, and I hope you understand.
I believe in you.
All right. Okay. Have fun. Adios, people.
Bye.